Steve?
If not, then this will be released to the public via our public dissemination on the levy and so forth.
All right. Good, thanks, Steve. We'll move on to E, Michigan Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Authority comments. Del McBurrows is here with us today, and Del, you have some comments?
Just a couple. The next meeting, we'll see a movie, our centennial celebration. Brought it over today, but we had some technical difficulties, so we couldn't see it. But we'll have that at our next meeting. Also, too, I wanted to report that we did meet with the staffs of the MACC, Grand Valley Metro Council, and Muskegon MPO in regards to aligning the next long-range plan update for all of those areas in terms of them having the same time frames for their 20-year horizons. A lot of questions came up regarding having an update prior to the final regulations of safety being implemented, and we had quite a session in terms of answering those questions and getting a real good idea of what has to be done prior to the new regulations taking effect. Also, too, wanted to report that NDOT has started working on their long-range plan, and Wilbur Smith and Associates is a consultant that's leading that effort. No call for project for CNAC yet. Our management has not released the call for projects. We've kind of been sitting on the edge of our seats waiting to go since we're in the fiscal year 2006 and have not officially had a call for 2006. So as we hear more, I'll bring that to you. Also, too, I wanted to report that, let's see here. We had a number of high priority projects that were recently approved, and a couple of issues that have come about with some of our local areas. A lot of agencies receive high priority projects, but were sometimes local government or road commissions, but we had a couple that weren't any of those agencies, and we're trying to make sure that in terms of the pass-through dollars that we are meeting our regulations in that regard. One of the issues too also was that a number of agencies didn't know that there was match requirements for the HPP money, and so that's an awakening. And also too, the HPP projects were to be funded over a 5-year period, and so there were some that felt that they were going to get a check for the entire amount, and that was kind of an awakening as well. So we're still working with some of those questions, some of those answers right now for that. But those are pretty much the things I wanted to report today.
Okay, thanks, Del. Any questions for Del? Okay, then we'll move on to,
Excuse me.
yes.
May I go back on one transportation issue, even though you gave me the opportunity at the time, but I muffed it?
That's fine.
Airport authority issue. I should probably feed back to you the comments I received from the Lake Town board members, from a number of board members who took exception to the minutes of our last meeting, where and I approved the minutes along with you, but because I believe them to be accurate. But the acceptance were taken to quote, how this movement placed the city in an awkward or tough position, that this needs to be a joint effort, and then an airport authority and working towards it is larger than any one unit of government, and the implication that we viewed ourselves as an exception or greater than that, or not being team players, or however one might want to paraphrase this. Anyway, that was not well received. I'll just leave it there.
Okay. No, thank you. Yes.
Since we're back on airport authority again, I need something clarified here. Let's say there's only 3 units that approved this proposal. Are them 3 counted against what the city is worth, or are you still counting all 7 units?
I'll have Brad answer that because he's our expert here.
I don't know about an expert, that probably stretches things. My understanding of your question was, if you have 3 units that approve it, besides the city of Holland?
Right.
Is that what you're asking? If there's 3 units that approve besides the city of Holland, the 3 units need to have an equal SEV to the city of Holland.
Or more.
Or more, and it moves forward.
But it isn't counting the other 3 then?
Doesn't count anybody that does not say yes to the resolution of intent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We will move on to the watershed project, item number 4. Sue will take that. Basically, we have a couple of points there on the Timdale progress report and funding proposal.
The total maximum daily load is the legal document that is driving the entire watershed project. And we are required to have meetings on that topic twice a year. We have the next one scheduled. We're going to do it just as part of the regular watershed technical committee. And that meeting will be on Tuesday, January 6th, 10 o'clock in the morning at Zeeland Township Hall. So all of the point sources that are signatories on that Timdale document will be invited, and we'll give a full update on that. You can expect to have a summary here after that meeting, but if anybody's interested, you're more than welcome to come. Also, it would be good to all of us keep in mind that as we come into January here, we'll be up to January 1, 2009 before we know it, and that is when the goal is, that's the deadline for the goal. We like to refer to it now as when we revisit the goal, but that is coming up and not very far away. But the good things that are happening in that regard, wait, what's your question?
What day was that, the 6th?
Yeah, would you clarify that, because the 3rd is a Tuesday.
January 6th, must be a Thursday.
That's still...
January 10th, I'm sorry, it's written here, wrong. January 10th. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, because I was confused also. I didn't look in the place that she was looking, and she had it right, so.
Okay, so January 10th. Really good news, the project, the demonstration project at Smallenberg Park is receiving an award for innovation and excellence from the Michigan Association of County Drain Commissioners. So Paul Geerling and Spicer, the consulting firm that we used for that project, submitted that for this award, and it is happening. So we're bringing more information on that. Conference is still coming up, but maybe we can have Paul come and share it with you. There's more information coming to each of you on the stormwater pollution prevention initiative as well, getting into the more specific tasks that each unit of government, especially the townships, will need to look at as far as how you want to work on those requirements as part of implementing the watershed plan. And there was a question at our last meeting about fertilizers and how do we get people to change their behaviors on lawn fertilizing. And this won't solve all the problems, but I think it's a real good step in the right direction. There's an environmental science class at Holland High School, and they have signed up to get 300 lawn testing kits. We will help them get those. The students will then go home and test their own lawns. So we will have at least 300 families that will be becoming more aware of what they are currently doing with fertilizer and what they might be able to be doing. Those are all the steps in the right direction as we get up to this January 1 of 2009 deadline that is coming down the road at us. Any questions about any of the watershed activities? Oh, just to let you know that we have on the agenda there 2007-2008 funding proposals. We are getting the request for proposals. Staff is going to go to training by the DEQ of what would be most appropriate for the Macatawa watershed to apply for those next 2 fiscal years. And the funding, that training is actually going to be down in Kalamazoo. I think I mentioned to you our kind of new philosophy that we're looking at, that we're in 2 different DEQ districts, and the one in Kalamazoo, we're thinking might make a lot of sense for us to align ourselves with them for this next 2 years, so we can bring more attention to the Allegan County portion of the watershed. So stay tuned.
One other comment I'd like to make, we had a Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program quarterly meeting last week, and it was mentioned that the pot of money that is available for that CREP program was thought that it was going to go really fast. The last time it was available a number of years ago, a lot of it went into the Saginaw Valley watershed, where they could have these huge tracts of buffer strips and so on, and they thought it would go quickly again, and but it has not. And so it allows us to have more time to get some projects qualified for that funding. So I guess in a sense, it's too bad that that money isn't used up, but for our watershed, we have to work hard on educating and attaching to projects and things like that. So it's good for us in that it gives us more time and gives us a longer opportunity to qualify for that, or to get that funding. So that's basically the news from that. Any questions on watershed? Otherwise, we will move on then to public comments. Does anyone have a comment? Yes.
Yes, sir, my name's Al Friend. I have a letter here with the MACC Area Coordinating Council letterhead on it, and it went out to all area, supposedly, governments of the unit. I just wondered if anyone did not receive this letter, dated November 17th, basically on me and my group, and Fillmore didn't receive it, but I did give them a copy of it, and with our response to it. So everybody else did receive a copy of this and saw it, okay? Well, that was disturbing to us because, number one, we presented to 3 different groups, Holland Charter Township, Zeeland City Council, and Zeeland Charter Township, and we never had a copy of this, and we're sort of mentioned in here. I found it as a public handout at Zeeland Charter Township. And I'd like to read a little bit of it to you and then a little bit of our response. This letter is a response to, and this goes to all government units here. This letter is a response to recent correspondence that you may have received from Al Friend on behalf of the so-called Holland taxpayers in regard to the airport authority discussion. Many are somewhat confused as to whether there actually is a Holland taxpayer group and that only Mr. Friend that signs the letters and appears at the many meetings on this matter. Committee has not met any other members of the Holland taxpayers, nor has been able to discuss the airport authority with any other members of the organization, if it doesn't exist, if it in fact does exist. However, because of the question raised by Mr. Friend, may be of interest to the board and council commission members considering this important issue, following the responses to the numerous claims raised by Mr. Friend, we can assure you that you may not have seen, we may not have seen all this correspondence, but the responses is what we've been given. And that's the signatories, and I'll mention them at the end. As a result, the following is a response to some peculiarities and primarily the general nature of the claims. First of all, the pieces of correspondence that this letter addresses attached to this letter, and the correspondence they did attach is short 4 pages of actual documents of some of my correspondence. So they didn't include all of it. They missed 4 pages there. Uses scare tactics designed to raise such a level of doubt that it becomes difficult to sort through the material and develop a positive reaction to the airport authority. All of this takes away the focus from the true value of the airport authority, which are to provide government stakeholders in the economic success of our region with a voice on how the airport is operated, to meet the air travel needs of our community, and to provide an additional level of funding flexibility to the airport to ensure that this piece of the region's economic infrastructure is able to meet the air travel needs of this community. Then they came up with some responses to that, and I'll get to those. This is our response to that letter. This letter is in response to the recent correspondence that you may have received, and some did not receive, from the MACC on the Holland taxpayers' letter of facts about the Holland Airport Authority. Please excuse the lateness of this response, but we were not furnished a copy of their letter, and at the last night saw a copy at the Zeeland Charter Township Hall. First, myself personally and the Holland taxpayer collectively always try to put out factual information. We check sources and use what we feel are accurate and complete information. To say that we do otherwise is not true. We have met with the Holland Assistant Manager, Greg Robinson, airport board members, and government officials to ensure that our facts about the airport are correct. The airport committee was informed about the Holland taxpayer when the question was asked during their regular meeting. Holland taxpayers are an ad hoc group of about 10 to 20 people. But you got to remember, almost 6,000 voted against the last tax there. Don't you think there's more than just me? The Holland taxpayers, we do not meet on a formal basis and communicate by emails, two and three person discussion groups, etc. We're not all from Holland, but we are in the MACC area and have residents in most governments talking about the airport authority. The committee never requested to talk to anybody else in our group. I have no written, formal, or verbal request from anybody in the airport authority to talk to anybody else in our group. Members that have spoken out against the airport authority at the Holland Charter Township, Zeeland Charter Township, and were present in Park and Lake Township meetings. 3 members were present at the Holland City Council meeting and one at the Zeeland City Council meeting, but did not speak because my presentation is covered. In Zeeland City Council, no further time was available. Some members who support the cause prefer not to be identified because they work for companies that are sponsoring the airport authority effort or work in governmental units in favor of the same. Since I'm retired, I attend all the airport authority meetings, which held on Friday at 7:30 in the morning. Most of our members work. Their lack of participation should not be taken as a lack of resolve. I'm a spokesperson on authority because I have expertise in this area after 40 years of aviation experience, both in the military, in the civilian world, and also in the airline world. Talking points and issues are sent to most of them for input and for presentation. Almost every piece of paper you have been sent by me, they have seen. What the MACC has given is essentially the same as all have been given. Some modifications have been done to address the difference in governmental units. Some of their further comments also is nearly impossible and perhaps unnecessary to address Mr. Friend's question, claims sentence by sentence. I guess it's hard to argue facts, so just let's ignore them, please. But now that we are saying that we use scare tactics to raise such a level of doubt that it becomes difficult to sort through the material and develop a positive reaction to the airport authority, well, if our facts are scary, then maybe we need to look a little closer at the airport authority.
Can you wrap up, Al?
Well, I've got some points here. I've been attacked here by the MACC. I think I ought to be able to give them some leeway here on the presentation. Would that be okay?
Quickly?
Yes.
If anyone is using scare tactics, it is them, jobs. The airport means jobs. We lose jobs if we do not get authority to run the airport. Jobs. Because you work for a company that uses the airport, you should pay taxes for it, or you will lose your job, is implied. We have supported the airport with over $25 million in the last 5 years, and 19,000 jobs have left Ottawa County, according to the Grand Rapids Press. The only thing that can be factually said about the airport authority is what it means. Value, to meet the air travel needs of the community. Doesn't meet my needs and never will. They forget to say again that it's a business airport for businesses. They want you to say that's how the airport is run. Right, the airport usually gets to say that. But they did say, though, it's about taxes. They want your money. That is the bottom line. Now, some of the issues that they say that we misrepresented are wrong. The $600 million in tax abatement to local companies. We got that from your assessor's office at Holland Charter, and Zeeland. That's the total IFCs out there. But it was nothing, they say it's incorrect. That's not correct. These go out for 12 years. They say other airports do not use local tax dollars to support the airport. They say that's true, as long as they recognize other airports do use tax dollars. Yes, we do. We never said it wasn't. But why didn't we investigate how other airports don't use local tax dollars? Why wasn't that part of the mission of the committee? That should have been done. It wasn't. The MACC's authority. There's no authority that was talked about earlier, and we're starting to look at another higher taxes for the MACC. That was our point there. Okay, the one other important item says we don't have any tax input into that airport, and that is incorrect. They said that the federal trust fund is all based upon their dollars that they pay on their aviation fuel. That is not correct. It's because if you do an airline ticket, you pay 7.5% tax on it. There's a segment tax on there. All that goes toward the federal trust fund that pays for our airport, along with anything that's mailed, air mail, packages, anything that's shipped by air, you pay a tax on it. Even the commercial fuel, which causes higher ticket prices, has a 4% tax on it. So there's a lot of tax money that we, as everyday citizens, pay, and it goes to that airport. And they would also like you to have believe that local match doesn't include any of your tax dollars. Each year you get $150,000 of entitlement from the FAA trust fund. That's our local tax dollars again, paid either directly or indirectly. And that was part of the local match in there. So you know, there's not, the whole thing has not been represented clearly. There's some other points here, but I'm not going to take time to say any more on that. But I want to say one thing. I'm really disappointed in the MACC, because I think the MACC has been misled a little bit on this whole airport authority. And it started back in February 11th, 2004, when the airport board got in front of the City of Holland Study Group and said two very important things. One, they said the economic study that showed $32 million and 358 jobs, they couldn't defend. Of course they couldn't. The individual numbers were wrong, so the input was wrong, figures were wrong. The economic value stated that they have pressed on for the last couple of years as being the value of the airport are not true. Secondly, they said, when they start looking at projects, that our time in the barrel was over, which is true. It was true in 2004. But we went through this whole committee process saying, hey, we got federal dollars, we got state dollars. You only have to pay so much for this, knowing full well that our time in the barrel was over. And now at the end here, he said, oh, by the way, it's going to cost more. Well, it's going to cost more because they knew back in 2004 it was going to cost more. They didn't show you when they started out, and they had this little handout with a document in there. They only showed you property and fence and a terminal as their projects. They didn't show you the ILS, and they didn't show you the north-south runway because they said, well, these projects have no benefit to the current users. Well, those projects were there and real, but they didn't show them to you until we got into the actual process and we start drawing people into the authority. And now we're at this point where we're putting out this stuff, and it's still not true, and they're not giving you all the facts. If we're going to have a good discussion about the airport authority, and that's all we ask, is a good, fair discussion, let's lay all the facts on the table. And let's quit window dressing and saying it means all this jobs, all this economic benefit, because you know and I know that you're just not quite right. Thank you.
Any questions for Al? Any other public comments?
And I welcome you to this nice, warm environment. Throw another log in the fire. Well, actually, this is a much warmer environment than it would have been had we met 3 years ago. I'm not going to personally give you a tour of the place, and I'm not going to read from the brochure that you have in front of you describing the Felt Mansion Restoration Project, because you can all read it and enjoy it. All I can say is that we are in what we consider to be one of the gems of our township, and it's only has come to be that in the last 3 years through the huge effort of many volunteers, most of whom reside in the township, but many are from outside the township. And it's been a marvelous thing, and frankly, as a township board right now, or as a member of the board, I'll express it for myself, I feel like we kind of have a tiger by the tail. All of a sudden, this has become something really quite wonderful, and we think, well, what do we do with it now? And it's gotten to this point through the effort of many volunteers, and yet we need to take the next step. It has a lot of use now for weddings, receptions. The booking for the month of February, I think, is full. Bookings are ready for the summer, and you will see this summer the completion of the water garden restoration, and that'll be another nice, beautiful change outdoors. In front of each of you, I hope you each have one of the tickets, should you like to come back and tour for one of the musical Christmas evenings that are planned here. Please enjoy that and encourage your friends and so on to come along with you. It's always good to have you in the township. I think we've met before in the firehouse. And if we meet here again, we'll try and find a warmer month of the year to do it. Thank you and welcome.
Okay, thanks. Do you have any questions for Ed?
Well, I should say too, if I may, you are free to tour around upstairs. We just don't have somebody to walk with you.
Okay, any other MAC member comments? Anyone around the table here? Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Bob. Al Friend, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Back about the first page of your comment, did you indicate that no one has ever asked to meet with your group?
No one from this airport authority. You have, yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, but they don't want to meet with you.
I just wanted to be sure, because not once, not twice, probably 3 or 4 times, I have reached out and asked for an opportunity to meet with the group, to share vision, to listen, and to have an exchange of ideas, and that has never been accepted. The other issue about the airport. In order for Al Friend to be right about the matter of economic development and jobs, then the Holland Chamber of Commerce is wrong. The Zeeland Chamber of Commerce is wrong. Many of our units of government, elected and appointed leaders, are wrong. Lakeshore Advantage is wrong. Congressman Pete Hoekstra, who spoke eloquently this morning about the need for a regional airport and airport authority for Holland, then he was wrong. All these people have to be wrong in order for Al to be right on the matter of jobs and securing our place here in West Michigan, a place where people like to live, work, and play. And one more key element. In order for Al to be right, the key business leaders, CEOs, owners of large, mega, and medium-sized businesses throughout our community, they just have to be totally wrong as well.
Okay. Any other policy members have a comment? Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to ex officio members. I don't think there's any here, is there?
I don't think so. I have a few things for you, though, on their behalf. I think we've told you that both the Holland and the Zeeland Chambers have made contributions to the Airport Authority Committee, and the Lakeshore Advantage has indicated that they will be sending some funds as well. I would like to bring you a short update. I'm still very cold. I know that you all must be too, so we're just about done here. And maybe next month, I would like to invite the new acting president of the West Michigan Strategic Alliance to give you a more in-depth report. But there are some significant changes occurring with the Strategic Alliance, and I'm very heartened by the new directions. Greg Northrup is the new acting president. He has been a member of the board of the Alliance for quite a long time, so he's up to speed on the issues. And is really taking a very definite, careful look, but also action on funding, on focus, and on the future of the Alliance. What we have before you today that we'd really like to know that you agreed with the action we took. We did it because there was a deadline, as sometimes happens. But there is a funding proposal in your agenda packets, and we talked this over very carefully with the MACC Executive Committee. They felt there was no risk to the MACC to join in, and certainly some good indications of positive benefits coming this way. So it is a resolution of support for an application to the Centers for Regional Excellence. Basically, what the resolution indicates is that we support regional collaboration efforts with our sister metropolitan planning organizations, so the Grand Valley Metropolitan Council, Muskegon MPO, which has such a long name, I don't always get all the right words out, but the Muskegon MPO, and a few other organizations. There's a good chance to get some fairly significant funding, again with no local match on behalf of the MACC, except for some in-kind services, which we would do anyway, in order to keep you informed and report back to you and to the community. But what this gives us a chance to do is to meld our resources together, bring our coordination efforts together, and come up with some indicators of sustainability. It's very much along the lines of what Sylvia reported to us in the study session today. But look